Bryce. Bryce, it's 2024. It's 2024. We have lived through the greatest gaming year of gaming, the never year to game, and now we are into.
And you know what's next?
The second best,
The Winter Olympics.
no,
wait, the Summer Olympics.
The Summer Olympics. I don't know, some kind of Olympics. I don't know. I'm really kind of curious because what was it, like 3 years ago? You and I recorded like the first podcast either right before the big winter apocalypse or right after, and we're recording this like 4 days before we're supposed to have this huge cold front. And I'm just like, please don't let it be the curse. Please don't let it be the curse.
I did not put that together, and now that's all I can think about. Thank you very much, Jeff.
Welcome back, everybody, to the RageSelect podcast here on RageSelect. I'm Jeff.
Hi, I'm Bryce.
Bryce, how were your holidays? Did you do anything fun?
They were good. I got to see my family. We watched a lot of TV. I did a lot. I've been doing a lot of gaming lately.
Ooh.
You might not know. I did it.
What'd you do?
I did it.
Did you install Baldur's Gate 3?
So,
get really addicted to Starfield.
No. I don't know if I've said this on the show. I have clocked in about 730 hours in Gran Turismo 7.
Uh-huh.
And I was on Target. For whatever reason, I was on the Target app shopping, and I was
I know what happened.
I was browsing through like TV stands, and I thought, oh man, this could be nice. And then I just realized, like, am I going to drop $300 on a piece of furniture? No, I'm going to buy a steering wheel right now. And then I bought $500 worth of a video game steering wheel and a stand.
Oh my God. No. Oh, okay. All right. This is crazy because over the Christmas break, I feel like there wasn't a lot of like holiday cheer in the world of Jeff this year. It's just like people weren't really feeling it all that much. But, I got a little bit of money as a present, and I was like, I didn't really get anything for Christmas, and so I was like, God damn it, I'm going to buy something superfluous. I'm going to stop buying black T-shirts and Starbucks coffees, and I'm going to buy something that's stupid that I may not use again. So what I bought was a PSVR 2. So now I'm thinking that we need to combine your racing
and
wheel
peanut butter
and my PSVR 2 for the ultimate racing. We could be like those guys online who have way too much money, and then we just need the big chair that bubbles.
We're unfortunately already those guys.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the two of us put together make one of those guys with too much money. We both have a little bit too much money.
That's the reality. When there's a kernel of truth in a joke, that's it.
It takes two podcasters to make one rich guy with too much money. That's really what the lesson is here.
I can confirm that math works out. But it's great. I got a Logitech G29 for the PlayStation and PC. It's awesome. It's got the force feedback motor. It's got pedals.
You can do all your shifting now, like for reals.
I can do shifting. It's got the back shifters. They're click, click, click. Oh, those are so fun. I just like click, 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 click. And then I got this stand that like a lot of the stands for wheels are like cockpits or they're like desks, and this one is more like you're
making Pac-Man. It's like a Pac-Man. You're making a Pac-Man motion.
It's like a Pac-Man. It's like two steel pipes. It's like two steel pipes, and you put it on the pipe, and you angle the pipes, and so you get a lot of free angle, but there's a big pipe in between your legs the entire time. Hey.
Okay.
But it's cool, and it's like I can fold it up, and I can keep it to the side, so it can become detritus much quicker that way, I'm sure. But it's been really cool. It like totally changes those games to me.
Nice. Well, let's see.
What about you?
The thing is that I kind of came directly off of New Year's and got sick. So I had like the flu, and a friend of mine actually got COVID, and so there was all kinds of stuff. But so I have spent my downtime. I was saying it really sucks when you have like a few days off, when you're the type of person who doesn't normally have any days off, and then it's like you get sick right before your off time, and you're just like, well, I guess this was the best time, but like, God damn it, I was going to play PSVR for 3 days. Instead, I'm laying on the couch. So I went full
That's why you
sicko.
got sick.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, it is. I mean, like your body like knows, like, oh, I'm gonna have some time off.
Oh, yeah.
Blood cells.
But I just went full sicko mode and I watched 11 seasons of Letterkenny on Hulu in a row over the course of like 3
That
days.
is sicko mode. Oh my goodness.
I was just taking Tylenol, extra strength Tylenol, cough and flu, and watching Letterkenny. I gotta tell you, this is a good combination right here.
It must have been like watching a watercolor painting in real life. Like I can't imagine you would have understood a single thing those guys were saying, especially when you got all the tryptophan in you. Like, god damn.
Yep. And I've never watched it before, so I kind of was holding off. And I know that their last season was here. It was good. I really liked it.
Yeah. I was about to ask if you liked it, but you watched 11 fucking seasons of it.
Yeah. Well, I was like, once I got to season 5, I was like, might as well. There's only 7 more seasons left to go. Fortunately, a lot of those seasons are like 6 20-minute episodes, so they're not like. They're not 24 episode seasons. They're like short BBC seasons. So, but no, I really like it. It was good. I've been looking for something new to watch. It kind of reminded me of the last time I watched Schitt's Creek a little bit, because it's got this kind of like small town, dry humor kind of thing. And yeah.
And they're both Canadian.
Are they? Are they both Canadian shows? Oh, okay.
They're both Canadian shows.
Okay.
That and Kim's Convenience. If you like those two, go watch Kim's Convenience.
Well, I mean, we're in sunk costville, so when I get through season 12, I got to go watch all of Shoresy. Right, I have to go directly into the spin-off.
Take a break. No, you're gonna need to take a break. You're gonna finish the last episode and you're gonna be like, it's like getting off a roller coaster. You're like, oh god, you know what? Actually, I'm done. I need a few minutes to recoil. Go watch Kim's Convenience.
How about you? You mentioned you watched a bunch of stuff over the break. You watch anything cool? You see anything worth note?
Yes. The big surprise for me personally was realizing that they had done an MCU right under our noses. Well, it wasn't really under our noses because it was a bunch of incredibly high-selling video games, but I ended up watching Captain Laserhawk, a Blood Dragon remix on Netflix.
Okay.
And everything in that is tied to Ubisoft games.
Yeah.
Like Jade and the Pigman are characters in it from Beyond Good and Evil. There's a bunch of stuff from Rainbow Six. There is an assassin from the Assassin's Creed thing, but he's like a cartoon frog, and he speaks with this like heavy French accent. It's great. There are 2 just real life wrestlers in it, Kenny Omega and another guy. They're just the actual fucking guys. And it all works. It all kind of works. Because none of that stuff really matters, honestly, and it's well made. It's an Adi Shankar
yep.
joint. Yeah,
I was a little.
He's great.
I was a little like I didn't watch it. I might watch it now that you've given it such a glowing endorsement. But like it seemed like a lot of pandering to like you like Assassin's Creed, we got Rayman, he's in here talking foul, saying dirty words.
Jeff, I have to tell you right now, Rayman should get a Best Supporting Oscar for the character growth that this little man goes through. I mean, and he doesn't even have arms or legs, Jeff. It was a surprise to me because I really treat Ubisoft stuff with a lot of open disdain, and the Adi Shankar treatment just totally works. He just says, "Let me do whatever, and we'll do whatever," and they do whatever, and it is a good. And it's not very long. It's like 6 or 8 episodes. So, check it out.
Once I get done with Shoresy, I gotta get through Shoresy.
You're gonna get the recoil.
Cool.
Speaking of recoil,
yeah. Well, yeah, we have
is that anything?
Maybe. So it's a weird news week. we've got CES going on right now. There's some kind of fun stuff here, but there's a lot of like kind of just announcements of normal stuff. Anyway, too much preamble. I forgot how to do a podcast over the break. Let's just get into it. So
there's usually not like a lot of gaming stuff at CES, but it crowds out all the tech coverage. So it makes this a weird week.
Yes. So we started with the announcement, and this is drier than we normally do on RageSelect, but we started with the announcement of 3 new RTX 40 series cards from NVIDIA. So these are they haven't done super versions of their cards for a while, but this is the 4080 Super, the 4070 Super, and the 4070 Ti Super. These are basically like, I think, trying to take the 40 generation cards, and there were some problems, I think, with some of the initial 40 series cards, like in the perceived, like, was it like the 4070 where they leaned really hard into the tensor core stuff, and people were like, yeah, no, you got to like make an effort to get it to 1440p and then let us decide if we want to turn on all the DLSS. Like, we can't just start with the idea that you're going to render at 720 and then use DLSS for everything else, no matter how good your like tensor cores are. But basically, this is a new lineup of GPUs that are coming out in January. One of them's coming out mid-January. The big one, the 4080 Super, is coming out at the end of January. The 4080 Super is replacing the existing 4080, and it's basically the 4080 or 4090. I get so confused with some of these. The 4080, the highest one currently was $1,100. This one's going to be a straight $1,000, or it was $1,200. It's going to be a straight $1,000, so it's like $200 less. And then there's going to be the 47 Ti Super, which is $799, and then the 4070 Super, which is $599. And all of these basically seem like they're kind of like hardware refreshes where they've gone through and like kind of, you know, they've added some cores here and they've subtracted some, you know, power requirements, and they've optimized some of the throughput for the RAM and the teraflops. And this is where it gets even like, I know a lot of hardware stuff, but this starts to get a little bit, some of these granular details start to get
marginal.
outside. Yeah.
Yeah. Looking at these random numbers in front of me, they look like relatively marginal increases. But if they're filling the same price slot, then I guess that's not a huge deal, right? Presumably, if these are replacing the existing lineup.
I'm using this Verge article to look at these numbers, and I found it really telling that when you look at these big number sheets of like the 4080 Super, and even in their press coverage, they're comparing the 4080 to a 3080. Like, so this isn't like, if you already have a 40 series card, this isn't like an incentive for you to upgrade. I think this is trying to get people who already have 30 series cards to be like, look, there is enough of a jump, because I think the 4080 to the 4080 Super is like a 5% performance increase, but from like the 3080 to the 4080, you're talking about like a 20% increase, and then you get DLSS 3 as opposed to DLSS 2. So
Jesus,
I think and this has been, I mean, there's been a lot of criticism. I don't wade into it that much, but there's been a lot of criticism of NVIDIA recently about like the way the 40 series has been, I think, seen as a little bit of a like, this wasn't enough of a sea change from the 30 series for you guys to be putting out brand new $1,000 cards that are only a marginal upgrade, as opposed to previously when you went from generation to generation, you were getting a very big step up.
But I think they're being pretty upfront about what this is.
Yes.
Right. I mean, this is an in-place refresh. I also do not delve into these waters, but I don't even understand the problem here. Like, it's not like they're saying these are this is the 4180. Like, they're just saying like I mean, everything does this, where they got to update the thing.
Right.
It's not a whole new thing that everybody wants, but you got to update it because it's like, I don't know. I don't see anything wrong with that. that is what this all seems to be.
I mean, I don't think there's a lot of controversy. I think that if you look into like the hardcore top of the line gaming, I'm willing to spend however much money on whatever the new thing is, you'll see grumbling there. I actually think this is a good thing because I think that at least making your big boy card $1,000, that's not the most unreasonable. I mean, it's more than I would really want to spend on a video card, but like this middle, the 4070 Ti Super coming in at $800, that's supposed to do basically kind of like native 1440p. It's got the DLSS 3. It's got the ability to turn on a lot of that frame generation stuff and all of the latest bells and whistles. Or even like the 4070 Super seems to be the one that's like, if you are comfortable leaning more on DLSS frame generation as opposed to raw,
the more value
frame power,
okay.
And for $600, you know, like if you were rocking a 2000 series card and you're mainly gaming at 1080p, right? Like for $600, this is more than this would be a very big upgrade. But to be honest, I think this is probably the least interesting thing that came out of NVIDIA because,
okay.
Yeah.
What else is there?
That's why I led with it, Bryce, was to get your vegetables, get those lima beans in there.
You know what they say? Start with a showstopper.
That's right. The big thing that I think is interesting is that they announced that in January they're going to be putting out the RTX Remix runtime full tool into beta for people to get their hands on. This is coming January 22nd. I don't know if you ever saw this, Bryce. There was a demo they did with Morrowind where it's basically like this tool can run on top of a video game and literally capture, like it doesn't have to interface with the files. It can actually look at the pipeline coming off of the video game and capture like what's in the game. Like it can literally, there's a whole thing I was reading about it where it converts like a scene in a game into this like USD, universal screen description, or no, wait, that's something different. Yes. Or was it the toolkit? Let's monitor.
Well, USD is like a file, is a standard file type.
Okay, and then that allows it to be dumped into this thing where you can run AI upscaling on it. You can say like, I want this light to be a ray traced light. You can turn on kind of a basic ray tracing and let it go. And then once you're done with all this stuff, apparently this tool will then, you can output just then like a mod pack that you can distribute. It doesn't actually take any assets from the game. It just outputs this thing that you can then run on your legally owned copy of the game to essentially mod it into this version that you have upscaled and tinkered around with inside of this toolkit. I think it's a really interesting pipeline to be like, this is a way to streamline people using AI and ray tracing and things like that to basically go in and to give the communities the ability to take older games and do this stuff just on their own. You're not breaking any laws. You're not getting in any files. You're using this specific assist tool on top of the existing game. And then at the end of it, you could come out with, even if you just went in and did nothing but like upscaled everything you could find and you put in lighting and just smoothed over a few things, you could still get a decent upgrade. I just don't think I've ever seen anything like this, like an upgrade tool, like a specific upgrade tool made by a big company like this.
It makes me feel like what is actually being like announced here is much more enthusiast of a tool than it sounds at first blush. Like it kind of sounds like, oh, you know, I can just boot up a G Police and it's going to be in 4K with ray tracing, and I think it's going to be more like there was the Apple thing a few months ago where they just put out some amount of code that seemed like it made it very easy to port games to their new chip. I don't remember much about it, but this was just a few months ago, and it sounds like that, where it can be very, very powerful if you were the person who's already like elbows deep in code. But And so far we've seen, I think, probably limited success or limited, I don't know, output from that Apple thing. NVIDIA probably reaching a larger, more enthused base. It'll be interesting to see what the limitations are of this, what engines don't work or do or don't work.
Yeah. I think it's a really exciting. I think it's really exciting because I think that, I always like to think about kind of, you look at something like this and you say, like, this is just a first draft. Like we might eventually end up. This is me. There's nothing that I'm saying has been announced or anything. It's just blue skying, right? But like, you could conceivably say that with enough work and enough optimization stuff that you could use a tool like this to basically like not even have to go through the manual modding process and basically just put an old game directly into something that then compiles like a new version based on stuff. Anyway. I just think it's interesting because, like,
yeah, go. There's a whole can of worms.
I think it's interesting because it's like, early, like last year, Matt and I played No One Lives Forever 2, A Spy in Harm's Way, a game which I absolutely love, but it hasn't been touched for years, and it won't be because the rights are wrapped up with too many different companies. But it's like if there was a tool like this where an enthusiastic mod community could put together a small team that was like, we're just going to go through and smooth out whatever we can, and we're going to, look at what we can do to put something together. Like, we could be moving into an era where old games get a second life using tools like this to get them looking not like modern games, but modern enough, getting some of the edges smoothed out so that they're a little bit more palatable to go back to, as opposed to like, I want to look at that game. I want to keep my rosy memories of that game. I want to go look at what it actually looked like.
Yeah. I think what will go the furthest here will be the simplest thing.
Right.
And this sounds a lot simpler than the way people are doing it now. To me, that could possibly be a thorny environment to go into. The idea of like, well, I made this game and I only made it 2 years ago, but someone went in and made a mod and ray traced it for me, and that's not how I wanted it to look, or it's got bugs and now everyone thinks it looks like that.
Yep.
Where I still think in terms of where AI, like visual tech, is going to go, it will be something in the displays and in the display chips and drivers that will try to like do some amount of real-time AI upscaling, right? If you can have a Samsung TV and say, when you watch YouTube on this, that 480 video that you're watching will just automatically be up to 720 and it'll look a little sharper even.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's going to be the next big thing, because anyone who can hang their hat on that sort of bullet point, I mean, that just seems kind of magical, even if it's imperfect,
Yep, definitely. Well, and then part of this was that they announced specifically that a team is working on Half-Life 2 RTX remix. So they showed a little trailer of was that Ravenholm from Half-Life 2 with like ray tracing turned on and some kind of like some of the path tracing that they're doing. And mostly it's just, this is a very good example to me because it's very spooky. It has a lot of lighting effects and stuff like that. But it looks pretty good. I mean, I don't know. I really like, I think that there's some really interesting stuff happening with this, because you can see like in this one where they actually changed the assets, right? That these cans, this med kit have been changed to basically like different versions of those same things. But yeah, I think there's a lot of interesting potential here because games, I don't think that old games hold up. I mean, some hold up better than others depending on the art style, but some of the stuff that's pure 3D that looked really good at the time doesn't necessarily hold up. And I like the idea of using all this new tech to make classic stuff more palatable. Even though it doesn't always work, because I will say I played that Portal RTX thing, and like,
Oh, how was that?
everything was very like, all the lighting that kind of like bounced around, it kind of made everything look deeper, and I was like, oh, is that what I want? And at the end of the day, I kind of decided I don't think that I want that, because Portal has this very stark white clinical, like, you're not getting dim shadows in the corners. It's this very flat thing that then really, like, it has its own effect, right? So
I also think in my hypothetical Geneva Conventions on how these things are awful, I also think that this, just as a devil, it's in the court of devil's advocacy. I think it also works a little bit against the idea of emulation and preserving old games. Like, I think it's great. It's great to say, like, we can take this old Steam file or this old version of a game and add a modding layer on top of it to give it enhanced features. But I also think that there are a lot of games trapped on old platforms and old code that could equally do with someone stepping in to figure out emulation stuff, because then a lot of these things could potentially be part and parcel with this. If you can say, like, okay, here's, like, I don't know, a new way to run games from Windows 98, and it just fixes a bunch of resolution things or whatever. If you have an emulation system, then a lot of the issues from back then, tied especially to low computing power, whether it's frame rate limits, resolution, dynamic resolutions, whatever it is, probably less sophisticated things for that era, then I don't know. To me, that feels a little more resonant with what
you want to keep. You want to preserve and enhance, not just overwrite the past with a ray traced version of the future, an AI upscaling.
Right. If we're doing a thing of enhancing games, which is great, and I think obviously there's a lot of forward progress still to be made, like, I think it is worth saying, like, I think some of these problems that are raw compute problem based, in terms of emulating old bad chips, I just feel like, come on, like, it just feels like you're right there. We just need one billionaire to solve world hunger, and then we'll be good. Just come on.
Give me a bit. You guys give me $1 billion at patreon.com/RageSelect. I'll solve the games archival. I'll make it my life's goal. I'll just devote the rest of my life to preservation. So
good one, Jeff. Wink, wink. We got him. We got him.
Wink. We had some other announcements for games getting ray tracing and stuff. Probably the stupidest one was Diablo 4, which, to be honest, it's like, why? Why do there's nothing that needs to be dynamically generated that can't just, I don't know. This one doesn't make any sense to me. Like, they show, like, oh, you can see the reflections of the ghosts in the water. And it's like, who cares? Who's looking at the skeletons now cast real-time shadows in this dungeon? And it's like, I have a hard time, Bryce, even seeing the difference when they wipe back and forth in this trailer between the ray trace mode and the not. Like, I have to really, really concentrate on being like, oh, I guess that looks like 2% better, but I'm not sure.
Because for Diablo, it is a small change. Like, you're pretty zoomed out for most of it.
Yep.
I think the vast majority of ray tracing effects are very subtle and only really easy to see in motion. And so, like, of course they're going to show it off because it does look, I guess, a little bit nicer. Okay.
Well,
but this is like, that game came out like last year, 2 years ago. Like,
yep.
All right, like, when are you gonna be done with the game?
I don't know. Anyway, that's coming out in March. We also got the Horizon Forbidden West, this is a funny one too, because this doesn't have a PC release date yet. It's been announced that it's going to come to the PC with the expansion, but that it doesn't actually have, like, a release date, but they show off a little trailer of it. The problem is some of these things, it's hard to tell because it's like, well, the art style in this is so strong, and like, I have a 120 hertz monitor. So when they say that DLSS 3 can get you up to 360 frames per second, I'm like, I gotta take your word for it. I don't even know what that looks like. I don't even know where I would buy a thing that let me run like at 360 frames per second. They say, it's got the low latency DLSS, and I'm like, I guess I don't know how to. It's like when they have those PlayStation trailers that show off the DualSense 5, and it's just a picture of the controller like rumbling, and I'm like, I don't know what, like that's.
You got me off at the pass, Jeff. Yeah,
Yep.
I was gonna say, like, this is a trailer for the new version of Horizon Forbidden West.
Yep.
Brought to you by our friends at Nvidia and Sony. Like, there really isn't much more to because you can't. It's unlike Diablo 4 where you could compare code to code.
Right.
You can't compare. There's not a way you can compare this. So the PC port doesn't even have a date. Like, so yeah, it's fine. I mean, it's good that they're still doing PC ports, which is all this is. It's got bells and whistles.
They don't even on this trailer. They don't even do the thing where they stop and then they put the little wipe back and forth to show you like how much better it looks. They just put,
because there's nothing to compare it to. The game's not out.
Well, they can turn off DLSS and then show me what that looks like.
They can compare it to how it's going to run on my PlayStation, so everyone can be really upset.
Right. So we got some new cards. We got some new DLSS. There were a couple. Okay, so now let's get to the weirdo stuff, because we got some weirdo stuff.
Finally.
One thing that we saw was in a big. This was in a big montage of other stuff, where they showed a very brief second of the Gravity Rush movie. I don't know if I can find a better. I've got this is from X, but let me see. Is this one? Nope.
I mean, it's a small clip and it doesn't look good.
Yes.
I mean, it's just like not a good clip. There's a reason it's a half-second clip.
Yes. It's obviously a CGI movie. It's obviously a CG movie, and it shows very quickly. I gotta watch some guy talking. I don't want to watch some guy talking. It was just like a few seconds, and it showed a character kind of jumping off the side of a building. It showed some lady in like a mocap harness, and then like it cut back very briefly to the person kind of falling. I don't really entirely understand. Like, I mean, I played Gravity Rush. It seems like it was all okay, but like there's some people that are really into that franchise. Like,
I'm in the same boat as you. Gravity Rush is like a good game. They were good games, but they kind of got the Little Big Planet treatment. Or no, what was it? They kind of got they were on it was a Vita game first. It was a PSP game first, and so it just inherently got the smallest first hit because those consoles just didn't end up doing very well, even though those games have been ported forward and forward and forward. But I don't. Did we know this movie was announced? I don't know if this movie had been announced even. But,
I think it had, but I didn't notice. It was too small news for me to look at. The weird thing for me though is the fact that when you look at like what the characters look like in this little snippet, they're not stylized like they are in the game. Like they look very dull and flat, and like more like they're trying to like make it a 1-to-1 like mocap thing with a human being, as opposed to like the very stylized big hair and particles coming off you, and like I just it's confusing to me.
This also looks fucking fake. Like I know this is real. I know I'm not saying that this is fake news. What I'm saying is like we can count. We could stop and count how many frames this actually encompasses of this entire thing because it is incredibly small. But then, look, there's one moment here where you can kind of see the face, and it looks bad. Like this is clearly footage that probably was too early, I think, to have been shown. Even in this venue.
Well, no, I don't think anybody was expecting us to sit here and pause and unpause. It was supposed to be just like, oh, I remember Gravity Rush. Let me get on with the next thing.
No. They put the Gravity Rush logo on this. You got to own that.
Yeah. Well, okay, but that's not the only weird thing, because I also, when I was looking through this, found that there was like a 1 second worth of footage about that showed old Patapon. You remember Patapon, and then like a 3D Patapon, like a new Patapon game, which I don't know if that was something that had been previously announced, but I had not heard of it before. So I don't know. Possibly there's going to be a new Patapon game. I played those games, and I thought they were okay, but like, no need to revive Patapon, guys. So, like, you can leave that where it is.
Well, and also to have on screen, it says IP development gaming /anime.
Yeah.
I would not put Patapon on that slide, actually. I would say that's not exactly a great example of IP development, Sony. I would maybe put The Last of Us or...
are you telling me you're not going to watch the Patapon anime where they all have to go to Patapon school, and there's this one guy, and it turns out he's got a bad power, but that power is actually a really good power? Then it turns out he's the most powerful one, and through the power of friendship, he and his friends kill the principal, who actually turns out to be God /Satan / the evil person who turned them all into Patapons in the first place. Are you not going to watch that? We're not going to watch the new anime?
No. No.
That's got a name like I got turned into a Patapon, but that doesn't mean I still can't have a good life. Something like that.
I pata, but my pon doesn't work. What?
So yeah. The other one is I don't know if you saw the car. Did you see the car? You see the car?
I remember when they announced the car last year. They showed it off.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay.
So first, this is the Honda Afeela, a terrible name. And during the presentation, I don't know who this guy is. He used a PS5 controller to like drive it onto the stage and apparently, this is not like an actual feature that's being marketed, but
yes, it is.
Is it?
Yes, it. We're watching the video. Like, I know what this is. We know what the paper says.
This thing is
okay.
Well, first off, Bryce, you should be all in because they're putting this in Gran Turismo. You're going to be able to play this in Gran Turismo.
Oh hell yeah! Okay, you know what? I'm back on board. I was about to say it looks awful. It looks like every Honda that they keep making. It looks like a fucking kazoo. But you know what? Put it in Gran Turismo. That's fine.
They also had so they also had a Fila. I was trying to find one of the bigger. It's got this huge screen that goes instead of a dashboard, it's got a screen that goes all the way across like the length of the car, of the inside of the car, and it can apparently I think they keep doing this thing where they're just like, when the first screenshot I showed of it was like, here's like your media dashboard where you can open up like Netflix or Hulu, and I'm like, do you guys want me to die? I mean, the car's supposed to be self-driving as well, but like, seriously, don't let me play Horizon Forbidden West on my car. Don't let me play it on my car, in my car, while the car drives itself. I'll die. I will die somehow. I don't know how, but I'll just die. I'm
so, it's like, it's CES, so none of this really matters.
Yeah.
I wonder like what the play is with the Afeela. I wonder if this is like Sony trying to make a claim in the like Android Auto CarPlay ecosystem.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, like, it's your buddy Sony. Like, what if you were mobile platform, agnostic or something? Mm-hmm. Like, I can kind of see that because I only because I'm not gonna look. I'm not going to buy a car that says fucking Sony on it. Okay.
I bought enough TVs to know what's going to happen if I buy a car from Sony.
In 3 years, they're going to come out with the Slim, and I'm going to be really upset. Yeah, so this is like a very interesting marketing exercise.
Yeah,
because I don't think that this really appeals to anybody. I think it looks really ugly. I think people generally have issues with the all touchscreen stuff. The steering wheel's a fucking yoke. It's got a fucking Fortnite video banner ad in the front of it. Like it's whatever. Make a car.
Hey, if you guys want to send me one, I'll drive it. Like I don't care. I'll do whatever. I don't give a shit about cars. Like I love my Honda Civic,
I'll be there shaking my fist.
It is interesting though. I look forward to seeing it in YouTube videos at some point, but like I'm never going anywhere near this. This is just one of those like they're going to make 12 of them, and I'm never going to be anywhere near one. So.
My Afila yellow lighted. And
last but not least, this is the strangest one. Did you see AI Mario? This doesn't work as well without the sound. Okay, so here's the thing. The AARP set up this holographic box. And inside it's like a big rectangle, and inside it is a hologram version of Mario standing underneath a star. And you come up to it and you press a little button on the side and you ask it, you could talk to it, and then it has like an AI response for you. And so, but the thing is, the voice on this thing, like they're using an AI voice, but it's like standard register voice. It's not that. No, it's not pitched up. It's just like the guy asked where I could buy a Mario video game, and it's like, yes, if you go to Target, you can find many exciting games on the display. It's like this very like deep thing, and like it doesn't. The mouth looks like a horror show, and the thing is that. The thing is that this
keep going, please keep going.
So then the question becomes like, did Nintendo greenlight this? And the answer is no, but Nintendo is not like suing the AARP for doing this, so they had to know that this existed. Like Nintendo didn't like specifically sanction this, but it can't be unknown as if like this company cannot have just put Mario in a hologram booth on the floor of CES and been like, I'm sure it'll be fine. Like Nintendo, they're not litigious. They're not going to have any problems with Mario. So
I don't know. I mean, that thing looks ramshackle, and when I see something ramshackle, I don't think they think about that.
Yeah, the thing is that they're also the same company as making.
Is that Howie Mandel?
Howie Mandel proto hologram AI man. The whole thing, the whole idea of this is that like if we make these hologram AI people that retired like old people can talk to them, and they won't be as like lonely if you could talk to a hologram of Mario that tells you where to go to buy games or something.
Well,
I don't know what the hell.
Part of this is like a 3D hologram thing.
Yes.
Like the Google thing. So, okay. Definitely the Mario thing is fucked. That's wrong. None of like I'm sure someone at like the company that AARP paid to make this was like, make a little character guy, and someone said everyone will recognize Mario, and then the other guy said we're not going to sell any of these, so do it.
Yeah.
And then we're talking about it like I don't know.
So,
again, this is CS. None of this is real. This is not real.
Yeah, they put out the statement saying, the AI hologram animation briefly seen today is an unfinished proof of concept tested for a client to demonstrate technological capabilities innovation. It is not intended for commercial release. AARP and Nintendo were not involved in the inadvertent showing today. The fact that so many gamers of the world have taken notice shows that they're the best fans in the world, and we salute them. So I guess they just did go cowboy, and they were just like, I don't know, get Mario, shove him in there, make his mouth go fucking crazy. What are they gonna do? They come over here and shoot me?
Yeah,
I'm not selling
shoot
Mario
with a bullet bill.
But yeah, if you guys get a chance, you should go and look at listen to this, because the voice is so wrong. It's so wrong.
Also, Jeff, I know you're going to remember this. Nintendo really did this for real life. Do you remember there was an E3 where they did this with Charles Martinet, and they put his ass behind a screen and they made him talk to people.
Mm-hmm. Yep, like the turtle at Disney World. Yeah,
like the turtle at Disney World. Yeah, they've put Charles Martinet out of a job again. Like, what the fuck?
Well, yeah, but the thing is that's so weird is it doesn't sound like Charles Martinet. It doesn't sound like the new guy. It doesn't sound like fucking what's his face, Chris Pratt. It sounds like like a monster robot Mario somehow. So I don't know. You guys gotta go watch this. It's fucking crazy. Yeah, watch it. And then look at that Howie Mandel thing, because that's also weird. And I haven't said the word Howie Mandel. I haven't said the words Howie Mandel in years. With that, hey guys, we're trying out we're doing some more frequent breaks today. So we're gonna go ahead. We're done with CES. We're gonna wrap it up there, and we're gonna take a quick break. And when we come back, we're gonna get into all the rest of the horrible bullshit that happened this week. So stay tuned. And we're back. Pew. Bryce, we got some more news. I don't know if you know this.
Use me up.
There's more news. There's more news.
Dude, they're doing it every day now. Can you believe it?
It's like it never stops. So one of the things that came out this week was apparently the SAG-AFTRA video game. Because there was a SAG-AFTRA film stuff that happened last year, but there's been ongoing negotiations with SAG-AFTRA when it comes to voice actors for video games, and that was a thing that was going on kind of around the same time as when the strike in the summer was ending, but it didn't actually finish. And this week, we got a kind of an interesting thing. I'm going to be very interested to know if you've heard about this or what you think about it, because part of this was SAG-AFTRA put out a statement saying that they had come to an agreement with the AI voice company Replica when it comes to basically ethically using voice actors as AI replicas that can be licensed or purchased by game companies to basically use it for, in content creation. And there was a lot of kind of backlash that happened on Twitter because the statement they put out basically said, all of the a lot of the relevant people have been consulted and blah blah blah. And then a lot of voice actors came out and said, this is the first I'm hearing of this. I hadn't heard any of this. I'm very anti-AI. I want to work, et cetera, et cetera. But I went in and actually read the entire statement, and it seems like this statement, at least I don't know the specifics, but the statement seemed to indicate that basically they had agreed to the use of AI, but with very specific restrictions about, if you are a voice actor and you want to sell your voice likeness to Replica, you can sign a contract with them saying yes. But if you want to revoke that contract and say, I see what you're doing and I don't like it and I want my rights back, you can do that. You can sell it for a specific thing. If it's being used out of turn, there's remedies to go in and take care of that. It seemed kind of to me like the best case scenario if your objection to AI isn't just total, right? Like any use of AI is unethical. No one should ever do it. This seemed to be the best possible solution that you could get where people can do it, but they don't have to. And there's a lot of protections if they want to get out of it. I don't know. What do you think?
And I know nothing about the inside of the industry, but I'm going to say to all the people who, if you are an AI, oh God, please, Jeff, help me figure out a better word for this other than
evangelist,
an AI abstinence, abstinence.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
They're probably not going to they're probably not going to send you a Zoom link if you're the no AI ever guy.
Yeah.
Because people are going to do, like, it's going to, like, whether it happens for a short time or a long time, it's going to happen. And the people who are going to say, I would like to have a project, a union project, where we have an understanding of what my contributions as someone who is populating, an AI learning, like I think there's a world where you can look at this press release or just hear about this and go, oh my God, SAG-AFTRA just like threw away all of our voices to AI.
Right.
When what they are doing is they're making a new piece of paper that they have to fill out for when someone does an AI thing. Because voice actors can use AI and not be fucking stolen from. Like a voice actor could own their voice. Like, the reason we're talking about this is because this technology is becoming easier to use.
Yep.
And I'm not here to say that any X, Y, or Z voice actor is going to start farming out their voice text to speech. But if you want to be part of a project and the idea is that your voice generates a thing, whatever, like, you should be able to have the tools to do that, the right to make that, and an understanding of what a standard and what an expectation of a business contract looks like.
Yep.
Like, you can't teach abstinence. SAG-AFTRA is not in the business of doing abstinence. Your people are going to use AI. Let's figure out what some of the ground rules are. And not having dug into this, I totally respect that as a means of giving creators, performers, an option.
Yeah, I think my opinion on AI for a long time has been I really do understand the issues that creators have with it, about unscrupulous C-suite executives using this to basically cut creatives entirely out of the process and just generate infinity projects, no matter how garbage they are, and put all the artists on the street. However, I really do think that the best way to mitigate that is you have to engage with the technology and try to steer it in a more ethical direction, as opposed to just saying no, because the C-suite executives, they don't care whether you say no or not. But if they are limited to having to agree to specified terms that SAG-AFTRA has come up with, then at least you have the option to say, yes, I allow this, or no, I do not allow this, and there's a system in place, as opposed to having it just be the Wild West. We're currently building the rules around AI from month to month and hour to hour and minute to minute, and so I think that it's better to dip your toe into those waters so you can try to move the stream where you want it to go in a better way, as opposed to just saying, well, I just wish this didn't exist, because the cat's kind of out of the bag on that, and I don't think it's going back. It's not going away, no matter how much you may not like it. So
and guess what? If your industry union is the one setting up the format for this, there's a lot of precedent in terms of being the first to have, in so many words, official means, right? The second you have what looks like a SAG-AFTRA stock AI deal, then now you also have something that non-union work can be based.
You said a precedent.
All of this can be precedent. Yeah. I think this is all I think this is generally positive all the way down. I mean, except if you are of the viewpoint that all AI tech is not going to be good.
Yeah.
There's a game, there's a demo of a game where you are you show up on a crash site. You're an investigator, and you have to talk to people and solve the crime and figure out what happened. But it's all text to speech, and it's all AI driven. So you just ask whatever question, and it figures out. It's got all the clues and stuff coded into it. It's a video game. But That's really cool. Like once, like, imagine having a role playing game where you're not bound in by the options of the game, and you have to role play. I think AI becomes a big part of that. If you could say, okay, I'm a voice actor for this boss, and most of my lines, I need to know, I need to say this the very specific way. And also, like, I probably don't need to say Parcheesi 10 times. Like,
Yeah.
there are ways through here that are not icky and gross, and that doesn't happen if no one knows how to make a deal like that to begin with.
Yep, I agree. In other AI news, though, Square Enix has kicked off 2024 with their latest kind of New Year's letter. Last year, I think, was last year the one where they were all in on blockchain still, where it was like 2023, we're going to totally be on the blockchain, and we love the blockchain. Everybody's about blockchains. And this one, I read a little bit of it, and I kind of got bored, but this one has a lot of AI stuff in it. I have a feeling that these letters are for like investors. Like I don't think that these letters dictate as much as what Square Enix does, or the technologies that they're referencing change so fast that by the time they get around to implementing a blockchain game, we've all moved 2 years past blockchain, because it takes 4 years to make a video game. And by the time you get done with your blockchain game, none of us give a shit about that anymore, and we're all past it. So you say you want to make an AI, you want to use AI in development, and I actually think AI in development is probably something that we're going to see a lot more of moving forward, especially since we're just in kind of the Gen 1, a lot of that stuff. However, I do get, I was just saying, like, I'm not a big fan of like, no AI, no, never, never, never. I don't really trust Square Enix to do this in a way that would be good. Like, I don't think they have my best interest at heart.
They don't. Yeah, this is just, I don't know. This is stock shareholder letters. So, you know, whatever. They also talk about like mixed reality in there. Meh. Who knows?
Was that new that Apple thing, right? The crazy see your eyeballs.
The Vision Pro.
The Vision Pro, live in the VR.
Geordie LaForge.
Yep. Let's see. Unfortunately, 2024 has not been the end of the layoff.
You shouldn't have let me do a comedy button at the end of that last
I know. I was trying to figure out a way to transition, but
we've painted it red, so hopefully it's a little easier.
Yeah. We've got a few here this week. Let's see. Unity is cutting a huge chunk of people. 25% of their workforce, which is around 1,800 people. Actually, this is not the biggest. This isn't a big surprise. There was a lot of news about this, like in November, and a lot of signaling that after their failed price hike last year, that basically like the only way for Unity to remain, or one of the paths that was laid out for Unity to remain successful, is Unity, like a lot of companies, I believe, during the boom of the pandemic and work from home and a lot of the money that was getting sloshed around in there, they expanded too much into too many areas, and now they are cutting back to core personnel and getting rid. I mean, like there was a story last year about how they had like some kind of special effects department that was working with like Weta, that they bought a chunk of Weta. Yeah. And that then
they threw that all away.
They threw it all away. Yeah. I think that somebody just looked, well, there's another one of these from Twitch about Twitch cutting 500 people. And in one of the things that I think I've seen that's kind of interesting is they said, this is a quote. While Twitch business remains strong for some time now, the organization has been sized based on where we optimistically expect our business to be in 3 or more years, not where we're at today. So the idea of staffing up because you see a lot of growth potential coming in the next 2 years, and then having the market contract and then not having that growth means that you then axe a bunch of people because you don't see the growth that you needed those people for. It sucks. Like this all fucking blows. Like I'm not trying to make excuses. But
no, like you're right. Like this tech, I mean, the tech bubble is bursting in a way, and it's really unfair to these employees,
Yeah.
Especially if you are a Unity size company, if you are a Twitch size company, an Amazon subsidiary, like I think there you have to be a little more considerate about spending in general. I mean, I don't know. I don't know who I'm exactly pointing the finger at, but like this sucks, man. Like layoffs fucking suck, and it's not like the executives. I don't know, bonuses, salaries.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Is I really wish that more of these announcements came with like, and the guy who spearheaded this initiative and greenlit 1,000 people that we then had to lay off also is going to be laid off along with all of the people that we all these departments that we acquired, or the things that have. I wish there was more. I wish more of the consequences would fall on the people who made the decisions to move in this direction, as opposed to just the people that they just saw a job and they were like, I'd love to work there, and they went and interviewed and had a job, and now it's like, oh, sorry, we don't need you anymore.
And it was not that long ago that the idea with tech was they're acquiring everyone because the dollar's going to go through the floor, and so it's easier to just put their money into investments. But now you're going to end up with a lot of haunted houses after that. Like you're displacing a lot of people because of this big financial flow, and it's always a bummer. I mean, you can get glib about the Unity stuff. You can get subjective about Twitch, but at the end of the day, this is a lot of people getting fired in an already very difficult tech job market.
Yes. I actually, this just reminds me of how I think it was last year, right at the beginning of the year, that Microsoft axed like 1,000 people or something like that. It was a big layoff, and it was kind of the beginning, as near as I could tell, of just this entire year. There's been a lot of this going on, and I wish that more corporate heads would roll for it, because again, I don't think these people did anything wrong. And yep, I don't know. It sucks.
I mean, just a little like 2-minute feel good corner here.
Yeah.
What if there was a way that a computer could be making decisions instead of a human? Because sometimes the humans cost millions of fucking dollars.
Yep.
And then they make bad decisions.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like they buy up a whole bunch of beloved indie game companies and then like don't get their Saudi investment money, and so they have to start axing like 20-year-old like well-beloved studios and people who have been working in the industry for years and years and years.
Yeah. I mean,
replace
like seriously, with all of this fucking consolidation, it sucks, because the long tail of this is people need to rebuild the landscape of this.
Yeah.
Like, what happens next is one of these big companies fucking craters, and I think it could be Twitch, it could be I don't know. This is not good.
Yeah.
This is untenable.
Definitely not.
What this implies.
We also had Bossa Studios. The headline here is Bossa Studios laid off 1/3 of their staff. This is the company that made like Surgeon Simulator and I Am Bread and stuff. I did notice that 1/3 of their staff was 19 employees, which I mean, like, that sucks, but at least it's not a lot. 1,800, right?
Jesus, yeah.
And then also there was a couple more I don't even know how to say this. Archiact. This is a VR game company that had some unknown number of layoffs, and then Playtika. So yeah. And then this
Discord
one
had some today.
That was from today. Yeah, I did that one. It wasn't even here when I was getting these stories together. So 170 people from Discord. Yes, boo. Say thumbs down. Do not want.
Oh no, fucking VC money.
Yeah.
Please, let's change the topic now.
Okay, sort of. Not really, but sort of. Okay, this is a very weird story, and I wanted to talk about it because it's an interesting. There's kind of an interesting thing here. So there's a former Activision executive that is suing Activision for wrongful termination based on age. So this is like a 57-year-old former executive who worked with the company for a while. And there's a lot of kind of ins and outs here. Like part of it is what Bobby Kotick at one point said the problem with Activision Blizzard right now is that there are, quote, too many old white guys. And it was like, But I think that what's interesting is when you really drill down into here, it seems like part of what this person is alleging is that basically they were getting paid a lot of money as an older senior person inside of the management structure, and that the reason that they were ultimately let go was to save money by hiring somebody that could be brought in at a lower entry level cost and getting rid of somebody that had seniority. I think it's something that happens a lot, to be honest. I've heard a lot of people complain about this over the years.
A little lower on the ladder where lawsuits are a little more out of reach.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't know entirely. I mean, the details on here are very weird, and I don't know. It's strange because in the last few years, when it comes to lawsuits with Activision Blizzard and stuff like that, not many of them were old white guys saying like I was pushed out because of my age, which is a different.
Well, there is. Oh, no, go ahead, finish.
Well, I was going to say, it's a different sort of allegation than I think that we've seen in a lot of the bad behavior stuff that we've seen from corporate over the years. Like a lot of more of the abuses tend not to, the pain doesn't tend to hit this particular group of people. It tends to be more different, whether it's lower on the totem pole or women or things like that. So
I'd be interested to know more about the timeline on some of that stuff. I mean, I think I would be interested to know the timeline more about the story because it's interesting. It's academically interesting because at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know the details, but I am going to scoff at it as someone who doesn't know anything about it.
Sure.
So
I don't know. We'll keep an eye on it. I mean, or I usually keep an eye on this stuff because it usually bubbles up as things progress. So, okay, let's just talk some shit about video games now.
Thank you.
Speaking of Activision Blizzard, the newest hero in Activision Blizzard, this is, what was this character's name? Ilari, the solar hero, the kind of support hero, apparently had an update where that caused, it's kind of hard to see here, but if you look down here at the bottom where my cursor is, there's an ammo count, and you can see that it's gone into the negatives. So this is a bug where the character is that just holds down the fire button, and after the ammo count gets to 0, it then starts going -1, -2, -3, but the gun doesn't stop firing. So apparently this guy, this Twitch streamer that was showing this, like walked away with the button held down and eventually got to -1,000 shots fired.
Oh, that's good, clean fun.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. The thing that I find a little bit weird about this though is that because this happened, then this hero has been basically taken off the roster for competitive games, and there's not a timeline right now of when they're going to get put back on. I do find it a little weird how with Overwatch 2, it's like they put out these new characters, but if there's a problem with them, they don't have like
pull them right back.
They don't have a mechanism to like roll back to the previous code, or like or I don't know if they don't have a mechanism for it, if they don't want to, because their option always seems to just be, okay, we'll just shut it down for competitive rank play, leave it in for quick play, and then we'll fix it as soon as we can. And it seems like after this is like the 5th time this has happened, they would have a better system for like, can you just roll back to the previous balance version or whatever, like Because I don't think they should be able to catch stuff like this before it goes out. I mean, I think that a lot of, QA is difficult for games that are this complicated, but by the same token, I don't know. Go ahead. Sorry.
At the same time, like you have a reload button that is useless now on this character. That's there's a balance issue, I think, on that one maybe. Whatever. They'll take it on the chin and fix it. But like, I don't know. What is the general like vibe on Overwatch 2, Jeff? Is it because I don't play it. I don't know. Is it the biggest thing in the world because it's free to play?
I think it's bad. I mean, like Overwatch used to be a very big property that was like bringing, the narrative that I know is that Overwatch used to be this thing that was really bringing in even non-gamers. It was kind of like World of Warcraft, where people who didn't normally play a shooter at all would be like, oh, I love these characters and I can play like Mercy, I can play a Torbjorn, I can play somebody who's not a specific like DPS shooter. And then they loved the characterization, but then as they've tweaked Overwatch 2 to be more of an esports game, even as their entire esports division has crumbled and it doesn't exist anymore, like they've driven away a lot of those people who didn't want to play Call of Duty with the cyber, anime lady skin on it. But then they also don't seem like they're, I don't know. I mean, people obviously play it, but I just don't feel like it's been downgraded and kind of relegated to more of a niche thing. The people that play it, that like it the way that it is, they continue to play it, but I just don't think it has as much of a wide-ranging audience as it used to, due to the fact that it's more focused on DPS now instead of team composition.
It really seems like for as many good games have come out lately, it seems like maybe a bad time to be into gaming. Like, you buy a game if you love a game, if you love the idea of a game so much that you get it right away, you get the worst experience, and it costs you the absolute most money, and you're going to be the person who waits the absolute longest for that shit to be fixed.
Yep.
And that fucking sucks, man. That really fucking sucks. And like, I kind of wonder if that was the impetus of making Overwatch 2 free to play, of like, look, if there's not a $40 price tag to get in here, then when this shit is broken, they will not have any reason to complain anymore. Like, I don't know if that is, it certainly sounds cynical as I'm saying it, but I look at this and I go like, this is your 38th character and the reload didn't work.
You guys don't have this down by now? It's been like 5 years since this game came out. How are you still struggling with this? Yeah.
Right.
In my mind, I think that Activision Blizzard, after a lot of the people that left in 2020, has been pushing the edge of monetization culture too far. I feel like they've gotten a little bit too far outside of the just like make a fun game ethos into the like, well, how are we going to monetize this game? Because I think that part of the reason my cynical narrative that I've just made up basically is that you make Overwatch 2 free to play so that you can charge for a battle pass, and you're going to in the long run make more for a battle pass and like attract more people that would potentially buy a battle pass, because there's not going to be the upfront, like you can't, it's less palatable to charge $60 for Overwatch 2 and then ask for $20 every season for a battle pass than just like, hey buddy, here it is, here's this free game, play it, I'm so how generous am I? And they're like, oh, you want the new person.
We're describing Fortnite.
Yeah.
We're describing Fortnite, right? Like, that is the model. That is a simple model. That's the fucking free V2B model of free to play, free to pay. You're free to pay.
Yep.
And it's a bummer.
But I could say that Fortnite's a little bit more generous. Actually, quite a bit more generous.
They got Goku.
Yes.
They got Goku in there.
Yes. Let's see. What all do we got here? Forza has responded. Apparently, Forza Motorsport has turned out to be a giant, like, people are unhappy with the Forza Motorsport that came out. Like, apparently it on Steam reviews, it's mostly negative. The frame rate apparently on the PC is no good. A lot of people don't like the progression in the campaign. They don't like how stingy the game is with giving out credits to get new cars and stuff. Bryce, I'm sure as a fan of Gran Turismo, none of this resonates with you at all, because that game was so good right out of the box. It didn't take any time at all. Any time at all.
By the way, split screen still does not work in Gran Turismo 7. Sorry.
But yeah.
Yeah.
They wrote basically that they're basically, it's like, we've heard you and we're working towards getting, these things resolved. This is like, I feel like I saw the same thing happen with Halo, where it was like, it takes so long for them to be able to like it's like they got caught by surprise when they put the game out, and they were like, what do you mean people think it runs like shit and that the progression is stingy? Well, I'm like, well, that's every game like this seems to come with that same complaint. And so then it's like, it seems like it's such a surprise that then they have to gear up to start doing like adjustments to values, and we got to fix this, we got to add this in, we got to optimize these shaders. And it always seems to take them by surprise to me, and that's weird. Apparently the AI is supposed to be very like more aggressive than you would expect in a racing game, like a lot more hitting your car than you would normally expect from the AI in a quote unquote realistic racing game to be.
Yeah.
Just lots of stuff.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know I just said like 10 minutes ago, probably like 2 minutes ago, that it's maybe the worst time to get into gaming, but I will say that the counterpoint is now you can kind of take some of these motherfuckers to task, right? Like they just put up Forza Motorsport, and to tell you how important that game is to them, they didn't put a number at the end of it.
Right.
And so this is not going to be their yearly thing. So they know they can't, this thing's got to work.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm still playing Gran Turismo after 4 or 5 years of that,
mm-hmm.
and a lot of my problems with that game are still there. It's just I've just ended. I guess what I was the one who ended up playing it 600 hours, and so it all worked out in the end. But casual people are going to bounce off, and when your big live service game, I don't know. I think live service games. I think maybe I don't know. I'm getting really cynical, and I'm trying to be the shepherd, Jeff. I'm trying to be the shepherd.
Okay. All right, Jules. Okay.
No one. It always sinks to like start off on the wrong foot.
Yeah.
It always stinks. I mean, look at Cyberpunk. Look at how pretty good Cyberpunk is now,
mm-hmm.
and like how good that game could have been if it was just fucking good when they released it.
Yep.
And so what does that mean? The problem is that it needed more time, it needed more input from community or testing. I don't know, but it's not my problem to fix.
Yeah. No, I agree. I do think that there's a big push to get stuff out, and I think that especially I think that this happens more at Microsoft than in other places, between Halo, between Redfall, between, I think Starfield was pushed out
early. Half of them aren't going to pay. It's going to be on Game Pass, yeah.
Right. And I think that a lot of, like, Microsoft doesn't have that many first-party things, and they're just like, we got to get stuff out there. Xbox players don't have, like, system-specific or, like, platform-specific stuff to play. We got to get these high-profile things that we've talked about out there. And, like, does it need another year of work? Probably. But, like, does it work enough to put it out now? Yes. Well, then, God damn it, put it out, because we just don't have anything else on the roster outside of the stuff that everybody else can buy. We need to get people into this ecosystem. I had a big conversation on the Discord today about Starfield, where people were saying that Starfield is really, it's a lost cause. It's not very good. It needs to be completely overhauled from the ground up. And I was like, I actually think Starfield could be a lot more fun if you just went in and adjusted a lot of the values in the spreadsheet. Like, I think that there's some UI UX stuff in there, but
you rebalanced it.
Yeah, like, give me more carry weight by default. Like, make the ships cost more, but the upgrade, make the weight on the ships less. Like, you could probably get away with changing a lot of just the core values in some of these games to give the player more of a feeling, like less like a feeling like they're doing work and more the feeling that they're having fun. Like, hey guys, I know you want people to play Forza Motorsport forever, but you know what's great is when you play a game and you win a race and you're just like, holy shit, I got enough to buy a new car with that race. Not, oh, I've got to do this race 6 times in order to get enough to buy a car, so I guess I'm just going to grind this thing, which is not something that people have fun. It's one of the reasons I think why Dave the Diver last year was such a big thing, because every 20 minutes in that game, you're getting a new thing, you're getting a new upgrade, you're getting a new mechanic, you're getting something new to do, and the game is not asking you to like Diablo or Overwatch or Forza Motorsport to just do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again and find fun in the 0.3% difference between this version of that gameplay loop and the last one that happened 10 minutes ago. So anyway,
it's a really tricky design challenge to build an ecosystem for a game that you will have players play between 10 minutes and 100 hours. You know, I was really into rhythm games growing up. I still like them, but I don't play them as much. But I really loved those games, and similarly, I probably put hundreds of hours into those games, and those were, PlayStation 2, burnt discs. But those games were designed on some level to recognize, like, hey, there will be people who will really care about this game and really care about wanting to play it, right? Like if we're not in the business of making a game in a square, but making an ecosystem and a live service, then you have to like respond to that user in that, like, you do need to dopamine them. You can't just say, hey, I already got your $70. Now you got to enjoy this long enough to make it worth it. Like, that fucking sucks too. But it is it's a really difficult challenge. Like, do you remember a few years ago, everyone goes to the Rapture, everyone's gone to the Rapture or whatever? Yeah. The secondary story about that game after it came out was like, all of the players say that you go too slow in this game. And the way that the run button works is your character slowly accelerates to a slightly faster speed. And the developers said, we can't make you much faster in this game because a lot of it is timed to how long it takes you to get, how the minimum time it takes you to get from point A to point B. And you can't balance that. That's not just a bug fix. That's a major a huge design decision. And when you have these games where now that last 6, 12, 18, 24 months of development is actually public development because you started selling the game already. It becomes fucking impossible to make big sweeping changes like that you might need.
It's tough.
And it is really tough. And it's showing that a lot of these publishers and developers are not prepared to make live service games. Like, I think that's ultimately what's coming down to is like, no, this is also what the failure and the oversaturation of live service games looks like, is very expensive, very nice baubles that are definitely not living up to their potential because they had to do X, Y, and Z because someone said make a live service game.
I agree. Okay, how about a stupider Xbox story? So, Baldur's Gate 3 is out on the Xbox, and there's been a thing that has happened where there will be a sex scene, fully nude sex scene in Baldur's Gate 3, and somebody is like, hey, that was really sexy, and they hit the save this clip button on their controller because they want to save the clip. But what they didn't realize was that by default, your clip is shared, is not just saved locally, but is also shared into the cloud, and uploading quote unquote pornography to the cloud is not allowed by Xbox's like license agreement. And so people hit the share button and then they suddenly get like a 6-month ban from Xbox saying, hey, you're not allowed to upload nudity to the cloud where anybody can like just look at it. At which point they say, wait a minute, I didn't like, I didn't like put porn on a USB key and upload it to OneDrive. Like, this is a video game that I bought from your store that has a nudity option that I turned on. So there's a couple of interesting things here. First off, people said, well, these are auto bans, right? Like, the automatic tools are detecting the nudity and then they are banning people. To which Xbox replied, no, these have all been manually reviewed, and these bans are not like being done automatically. They're all being actually looked at by people, which I got to wonder, if that's the case, I want to do an interview with the person who works at Microsoft that's just got to sit there all day looking at people's clipped sex scenes from Baldur's Gate just over and over and over again. Then they said, like, well, okay, if you don't want this to happen, make sure that you turn off auto upload, which was a bit silly because that's turned on by default. So it's like, you've opted me into this bad situation that I now have to go manually opt out of.
For this one instance.
For this one instance, yes.
For this one new instance.
Yes. And then also, another option that was put out there was, okay, well, you need to just make sure that you have the like nudity filter turned on if you're going to be clipping parts of your game, if you don't want to opt out of the auto upload. Anyway, it seems like they're still working through it, but at least they did. Larry had posted saying that they are like working with Microsoft to get anybody that was flagged in this way, like, to get the bans removed, and to look into ways to basically keep this from happening moving forward. Very silly.
Man.
Very silly.
This is dumb. Because, like, I understand everybody's side here. Like, auto upload, like the PlayStation has a similar thing. It auto uploads it to the app so that you can just pull it up on your phone. You don't have to like do a thing.
Yep.
That's really convenient. When I tell people that it's there, they go, "Oh my God, that's really cool. I didn't know that." I think it's a really good feature. At the same time, like, we're probably not wanting to get into a place where platform holders are saying your game has to announce when certain types of material is on screen. That gets really draconian really fast, probably. So then change the suspension policy then, or auto lift the suspension policy for that game. Like, I'm sure they have to have some amount of moderation because that stuff goes to like an app, right? It goes to an Android app or an iPhone app probably, and they also have rules about pornography.
Yep.
And to have an app function there, they have to say, yes, we check for pornography and we take it off of here. And that is much more fucking important than your clip. But at that point, just get rid of the clip. Just throw the clip out. Like we know that these moments, like for some, like, just throw the clip out then. Refuse to upload the clip, or say we didn't suspend you, but we're just not. Something. I don't know. How are you finding these clips to begin with? Then
I think it would be better if it is being manually seen by somebody. If you had a system in place to basically say, like, if I can see that this is from a cutscene of a video game, right? This is not erroneous. This is not somebody uploading something. This is a use case that exists on our system. There should be a way to flag that, to say, remove this from OneDrive, but keep it on the local. Like, delete the cloud upload, don't delete it locally, and then like fire off an automated message. Hello, user. We noticed on blah, 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 January 10th that you uploaded a clip that could be, considered to be pornography. So we've deleted it from OneDrive. If you want to keep it, make sure that you back it up locally, or blah, 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 blah. Like, there should be some way to do this outside of just like bans, and then people complain about it. And Larry, like, another one of those, like, Microsoft. Do you guys need somebody to come to your business and be like, what if this happens? What would you do if this happens? Have you thought about that? And then you could be like, oh no, Jeff, we haven't. Let's get some developers to work on that. And be like, hey, cool.
I do think the pragmatic thing, I think probably what is most likely what happened is, because this whole Baldur's Gate on Xbox thing is all like hand to mouth. Like, they know that they really want to get this game onto the Xbox. And so I have to imagine, like, in that push and pull between getting apps delisted and not moderating pornography when you're Microsoft and you know you can, you do this until you can say, we figured we did it. We're Microsoft. We did technology.
Yeah. Okay, Bryce, we're just about to take another break, but I want to just lightning round through the rest of these real quick because people need to know. These are fast ass stories, and we should go through them quick. So, we got our Abby for The Last of Us season 2 in Caitlin Dever, who I think the main thing that she's known for was that Hulu movie about the alien abductions that came out last year.
Wow.
I want to see. She needs. I mean, obviously this is early on, but I also want to see what she looks like when she's put the muscle on to play Abby. I mean, it's like it's a big part of the character, right? It's like one of the things that makes that character.
Yeah, that's it.
Josh Hutchinson says that they're already at work on a sequel to Five Nights at Freddy's, one of the worst movies that I watched in 2023. Awful, terrible, made shitloads of money. I don't understand it, but hey, you guys keep wanting to give this franchise your money. Bada bing, bada boom.
Let children watch the children's movies, and then they will let our movies be better.
Okay. Next week, we got an Xbox Direct, and one of the big things that you might want to tune in for this is that they're going to show that Indiana Jones game that Machine Game's been working on for a while. So we're finally going to get to see some footage of that. Should be big.
Do you think there will be a snake? Yes or no? Quick question. Will there be a snake in the trailer? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
I think so.
I think no.
Okay.
I think they're not going to do the why did it have to be snake? Anyway, sorry.
Daggerfall Unity came out this week. This is a 10-year development to take Daggerfall, which was like the second Elder Scrolls game. It was Arena and then Daggerfall and then Morrowind and then Oblivion and then Skyrim. So old game. Port the entire thing into Unity, up-res all the graphics and make it so that it can be played on modern systems. This is actually really interesting because this is like sanctioned, so it's not an unofficial thing. Like it's not going to get taken down.
It is the community thing.
Yeah, it is a community made thing, but it's endorsed essentially by Bethesda, so it's not going to get scrapped. Also, I think you can get Daggerfall for free at this point because it's so old. It came out in 1996, which was the year I graduated high school. Thank you very much.
I'm not going to respond to that.
Yep.
I mean, because then if you've got this, then you can say, oh man, like, what if we RTX that up for you? Like, there's so many fucking synergies in this. Like,
yep.
This is the perfect time to be doing fan games. That's great.
Absolutely. Speaking of fan-approved stuff, City of Heroes has been running, even after all this time, on a fan server that was kind of like after they turned the official servers off, this fan server came up. People were running on it. This is of questionable legality, but NCSoft actually gave the people that ran this server an official license to run the City of Heroes server, making it basically an official way for them to do so. I mean, this costs them nothing and gets them goodwill with the community. But then the same server, Homecoming, apparently they actually generate like new content and like little quests and stuff inside of their server. They like homebrew new stuff for people to do. So, hey, good on you guys.
That's great. When it broke, whenever it was that people had been having the secret server running, where they could still play, like it felt so heartbreaking that it all broke. And I'm really glad that they are legally in the clear and they can keep playing that game. That rules.
Yep. And last but not least, before we take a break, did you see the story? A kid, let's me say, 13-year-old kid, Blue Scooty, quote unquote, beat Tetris for the NES. This is very interesting because the way you beat Tetris on the NES, the score is maxed out, and the objective is to make the game crash. So he played it all the way up until at a certain point he was playing, and then the game just locks up. And when it happens, he freaks out. He's so excited. This got me down a rabbit hole of these grips that the Tetris people use to be able to move pieces way faster, where you hold your hand over the controller, then you tap the controller up onto your fingers in order to make it move even faster than it could normally. Yeah, it's so interesting. But This was great. This is heartwarming, and I love it.
And this was him doing it. I want to say this was him doing it on an actual NES, or it was either on an NES or like one of those there's like a newer, like real hardware things.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if people have done it with emulators before, but I'm surprised if this is the first time someone's actually done it on hardware. I mean, I had assumed people would have done this on ROMs a lot, but that's cool.
The thing that's interesting when I went back and looked at it was that this grip, this rolling grip thing only started coming into being like a year or two ago. Like there's a whole, like you go find these interesting things on YouTube. And so when you're watching him play, it looks relatively simple, but without the ability to hit those buttons so fast, you can't get to these levels of Tetris because there's no way with a standard NES grip that you can hold out long enough and you can keep hitting the button fast enough to be able to keep making lines because it's so fast that like you just physically can't do it. And so
because those controllers were so bad.
Right.
Like,
well, and it's
wow. And
it's more of a physical thing. Like you just can't hit the button fast enough with a thumb press to get it to one side. So until they developed this alternate control technique, this wouldn't have been possible, which is why this kid was the first one to be able to do it.
Wow. That's okay. They need to figure out how that can be the headline, because that's the best part of the story, and I've read this story like fucking 4 times. This is the one story I knew about, and I didn't even know that fucking bit about it.
All right, with that, we're gonna go ahead and take a break. One more break, and then we got a few trailers to look at. We're gonna wrap this up. We'll be back in just a moment. We're back. Three-part podcast. First podcast 2024. Three-part podcast.
Trilogy.
Yeah, and this is all down slope roller coaster because we just got a bunch of fun trailers and then some quick announcements and then we're done. And yes, by far. Oh yes, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I feel like I need a little bit of a history. You know, this is a podcast. I feel like we need some history.
Yeah. What if we got like a really big star to tell us the history of like a video, like a video game? Like if we got we got like
the biggest star,
Bryan Cranston, to tell us about the history of The Witcher, or
cheaper Brian.
Okay. Do you think Brian Cox is cheaper than Cranston?
Brian Cox is international.
Anyway, if you ever wanted to hear Brian Cox talk about the Mishima family and the devil gene and say the word Tekken a whole bunch of times, you're in luck. Bandai Namco has a New Year's present for you.
When I saw this, I thought, I didn't know I could want this. I didn't know I could want Brian Cox talking to me about the Tekken storyline for about 8 minutes.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm down for this. And you know what? Like, I recommend you go watch this, not to get a good history lesson, because I'll tell you that, isn't it funny? Did you watch this whole thing, Jeff?
I did. I very much did.
Okay. Can I just say, isn't it funny that this is like the story of Tekken, and they skip over 5 games at one? They're just like, okay, after Tekken 3, like 20 years of games happen, but now the story is continuing.
Well, because it's also focused on the Mishima family. When there's like, I know for a fact that there's like 12 other storylines in Tekken that have nothing to do with Heihachi and Kazuya and Jin. Like, there's all kinds of other people doing their thing in the Tekken universe. But if you want to hear about those 3 people and like hear the word devil gene said with,
they put him in they put him in the scene. They put him in the fucking game. Brian Cox is on one of the. You can smash Brian Cox into the ground.
He's in the mountain.
Oh my god.
He's on the mountain. He talks a lot about the Kazuya clan throwing each other off the mountain over and over again. It's just magical. It's absolutely magical.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
This is great. Whoever had this idea.
Yeah.
big thumbs up. You get that other guy's bonus. You get the other CEO's bonus.
I want Brian Cox to just come out and tell me the story of every game before it comes out. I want Brian Cox to explain the story of Armored Core 6 to me, because I want to hear him talking about Dafeng, a subsidiary of the Archibus Group.
When the fires burned, they never stopped.
I want to hear him say Father Dolmayan out loud in a voice that's not
mitochondria.
Anyway, that was the only Tekken 8 we had, because we also got the official reveal of Panda. Is going to be, I mean, I think this was kind of a given, but hey, we know Panda's going to be in Tekken 8. Panda looks really good. I mean, we got that fur tech going, and cute pom-poms and backpacks and all kinds of stuff going on here. I don't know. Are you a big Tekken? Do you Tekken, Bryce?
I do really like Tekken. I'm not a fighting game guy. Like, I don't want to play multiplayer or think that I'm any good. But Tekken is the one that I like. Like, okay. if that's the question, is like, which of the ones do you like? Do you like Street Fighter or Tekken or King of Fighters or whatever? Like, I'd say Tekken. Like, Tekken's my jam. Okay. Like Tekken 3. God, Tekken 3 was big on my childhood. God, that game was great. Yeah, Tekken. I mean, you can't beat it. It's you smash people. It's great.
Yep. And coming out later this month, no less. It's like 2 weeks until Tekken 8 comes out.
I'm kind of... It feels like it's already out because I keep hearing about it.
Yeah. We also had, speaking of big 5-minute videos, we had this full 5-minute Final Fantasy 14, the new expansion for Final Fantasy 14 Dawn Trail that came out. That has, it's funny because I was watching this and I was like, I swear I've already seen this trailer, but then I realized that I saw like a teaser version. They put out like a 1-minute version that has some of this footage, but it didn't have as much of the footage as it has here, because they announced at some point last year. I swear I'm never going to play Final Fantasy 14 because I asked my Discord if, like, is it actually good? And they were like, well, it gets good once you've played like 45 hours of the game. And I was like, okay, that's what I needed to know. Thank you very much. Not for Jeff, not for me.
No, thank you.
But these promo videos they put out are always just dynamite. Like, they're
so good,
really good looking. I have no idea who any of these people are or what the hell is going on.
No idea. I think that's Ogre. I think that's True Ogre from Tekken 3. Oh, okay. I'm looking at this video here. I think that, and then look at that. That's Elf Boy. That's Elf Boy.
Elf Boy from Tekken 4, right? Yeah. The couple of things that they had in this trailer that I think were kind of new and interesting to people were there's a new class that's called the Pictomancer. That's like it's a really impressive part of the trailer. They show this kind of one of the little little short guys that's like painting kind of like colors in the world, and this is going to be like a magic class based on like paint and color and art and stuff like that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yep.
The classes are the part of Final Fantasy 14, right? Like, my understanding from the little I've played of it and some other MMOs is its big thing is like you can just change your class whenever you like. Each class is just like its own progression, basically.
They're like
cool.
jobs.
It looks cute.
Yeah,
they're jobs
in the Final Fantasy series. So you can just you can flip over between them, and they always add something new. And then I think the other really big thing from this is at the end there was a female Hrothgar. So this race in the game was like male only for a long time. So seeing that there was a female Hrothgar here was like a big thing, because that has not been a race gender combination that you could do in the game probably up until this expansion. So
okay, yeah, Catwoman, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. Whoa, look at that guy. Hello. Woo, they got a lot of pretty people in this game.
Oh, yeah. Everything about this trailer is like super duper good looking. And it's got this kind of tropical thing. But then there's also some kind of like, I was reading, I didn't want to read too much into it because let's just be honest, man. We're in the third part of this podcast. I don't really care that much about the ins and outs of Final Fantasy 14, but like part of it is that there's going to be like a way to go to different dimensions, which I think it probably will tie into even more like Square Enix fan service multiverse stuff, because they've already done like crossovers with different Final Fantasies, and I think there was like a Nier crossover at some point. So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And it's better to like coordinate off into its own thing, and just instead of like trying to figure out a way that Yoshimitsu is like a squire.
Right. Let's see. We got the official full-on opening movie for Persona 3 Reload, which, as you would expect, is animated and stylish and has a really groovy J-pop song, and a lot of like, you know, really severe colors and editing and kind of camera swooshies. And I actually, you know what? I don't know if you and I really discussed this, Bryce, but like I know that you like Persona 4, but you didn't care for 5 as much.
Yeah, 5 wore my patience out.
Okay.
And I think I really hold 3 really high because I don't know, I was a teenager when that game exploded, and that game did entirely explode.
Mm-hmm.
Like it is hard to understate how much of a nothing burger it seemed like Persona 3 would be, you know, in terms of influence. And so, and like, it was also like edgier. There was the one where they had the guns, and the kid was like the emo little guy. And, I don't know. I always thought it was super cool. So I always dug it. And it was tough because it was also the game, the one where you couldn't, direct control your party members. It wasn't until like P3 Fest or the portable or the ports that they did that you could actually control your party members. But as far as like a remake of 3, I feel like I would almost rather play like those PC ports of 3. Mm-hmm. I don't love I didn't like Persona 5, and I don't particularly know if I like what Team Persona are doing right now.
What are your feelings about the Metaphor Refantasio? Have you been keeping track of that? That's like the actual next thing that they're doing, like an original thing that's like this kind of medieval fantasy, but it's all about like connections between people, and it's a very original, nothing to do with that universe, kind of like just going out and doing something off the wall crazy.
That seems great. Like because Persona itself is such a huge beast, like I think it makes sense to have those creators go off and keep making new things while having a Persona team do these Persona games. Like, but I don't know. There's a formula within Persona, and these people are really talented, and I want them to break out of that formula.
More Catherine's, fewer Persona 3 remakes.
God, Catherine, the Golden Theater, like, yeah, like. And you can't do that forever. Like you'll do that until you get the next Persona, and then they'll just stick doing that for forever. Like it'll repeat itself, but then we'll get some new stuff. Like this looks cool, this Refantasio, but I kind of don't love when they've redone the voices in these Persona games, and I think I might as well just listen to I'd rather play the ports that they did of the other games, and I'm glad that I have the option when they've got this big remake coming out.
Right. Yep. Let's see. From there, we got we actually have an official release date and a new trailer for Power World. My favorite.
This is cute.
Power World is Pokemon but with guns.
What?
It's this studio that's basically made a Pokemon game, but then also you have machine guns that you shoot the Pokemon with, and also you can cook the Pokemon and eat them, and also you can force the Pokemon to work in like sweatshops making AK-47s for your other Pokemon until they have little frowny faces, and also you can send them to genetic experimentation labs where they get even bigger frowny faces. It's basically insane. It's psychotic as a concept, and I love it because it also is really well done. Like, it's got nice graphics. Like, it looks like a it looks like it's quality.
It sounds like a child's idea,
right?
Like it's hard to overstate that. It sounds like a child's idea, but
Yes.
this looks really more than a community thing. This looks really from the graphic, the CGI on this concept video.
No. This is what the gameplay looks like. I've seen this. This is like what the actual internal gameplay of the game looks like. These are like what the models look like. Yes. Yeah. What you're seeing right now. Yeah. Like you can see right here, that's like a UI and the whole thing.
Oh.
And this is actually coming to early access on Steam next week on the 19th, but then it's also going to be on Game Pass at the same time. So, I can't wait to see what kind of fucking bug nuts insanity is going to happen with this game.
Okay, I'm gonna put up a flag though on this and say, not a red flag. Just one yellow flag. Just be aware there might be slow objects on the road. Be prepared to stop.
Mm-hmm.
You remember when that Bug Snacks trailer came out? It was like, oh my god, that trailer's really good. It's a catchy song, fucking Carabinino Bonito, and the game looks cool. Is that a ham bungler, whatever? And then that game was like nice and kind of small. And if that's what Power World ends up being, I feel like I would be okay with that. Of like, here's a goofy idea. It kind of doesn't hold up for a 60-hour game.
Mm-hmm.
But I could like if that was the shape that this ultimately is, like I feel like that would be a good that could be a good space for it instead of trying to be like, because I don't know, I feel like the other Pokemon copycat games really want to be a 100-hour RPG.
I see what you're saying. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Where like if this is like, you got a Peekaboo and you shoot an AK-47 at him for a while, and like, yeah, that's fine. That's a fine way to spend 10 or 12 hours, I bet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I think that
weird.
The funny thing for it is that this Pocket Twin or Pocket Pair, whoever the folks are, man, they did a good job of like making it look like Pokemon. Like if you told me these were official Pokemon, I would probably believe you in a lot of ways. Like they look so much like Pokemon, except that you've got a machine gun and you're shooting them with a chain gun or a rocket launcher or something.
Is it too much to say that like I think they look better designed like than Pokemon? Like I don't know if it's like it's a nostalgia thing, but they look. I'm going to say that they look like old Pokemon, not like new Pokemon, Jeff, and I like old Pokemon.
I can't speak to that because I'm not a Pokemon guy. What I will say, though, is that it does benefit from not being from being on a PC and the Xbox as opposed to the Nintendo Switch. So you get those nice, crisp, high-resolution character models. Let's see. From there, the next we got a release date for the Cult of the Lamb Sins of the Flesh expansion that's coming out, that's going to have drinking and weird nudity and sex and stuff that your little cult guys can do. I never really got super duper into Cult of the Lamb, but this was that thing last year where they said, if we get a certain number of retweets, we'll do this. And then they obviously were going to do it no matter what. And they were just looking for publicity, but they did it. It's coming out. It's coming out January 16th. January 16th. So
did you play Cult of the Lamb at all?
I played it for the show, but there's and I say this, and it sucks because it's got a good reputation, but I really, really, really don't like the 3D isometric world with the 2D characters on it, like the way that Don't Starve is. It just there's a dissonance to the way that it looks to me, and it's probably has something to do with being a hoity-toity animator a long time ago, where it jangles in my brain in a way that I can't enjoy. So I was never able to really get into it.
I did play Cult of the Lamb. I think I played it not long after it came out, and I had a really good time playing it, and I had a really good time finishing it. But because this was like pre roadmap, pre whatever, I finished the game, and I thought the ending kind of just like flops out. It kind of happens, and then it's like, you can keep playing, I guess. And so like I don't really have a need to go back. Like I did the thing. I beat the game and I got the stuff, and I don't like, which is to say, I think if you played Cult of the Lamb now, where you've got this update and the other updates that they've done, but the game is even better. But I feel like I literally don't know this game now because there's a bunch of shit in it that wasn't there when I played, and I thought I was on top of it because I beat the motherfucker.
And probably, is it one of those things where it's just like, it was a fine game, but I didn't like it enough to go back and re-experience it with new content. I'm like, I'm done with that. I finished
need to do
that game.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
So.
Let's see. Alan Wake is going to be in Dead by Daylight. So they're putting Alan Wake from Alan Wake 2 into as a new survivor in Dead by Daylight. I think it makes a lot of sense. All you got to do is just give him the flashlight and take away his gun, and there you go. You got a survivor for Dead by Daylight.
Okay. Confession.
Yes.
How the fuck are they going to make Alan Wake a bad guy for being a villain? How are they going to make him a murderer? What the fuck?
Oh, wow. Yeah, having him like just pick people up. He just pulls out a typewriter and starts typing, and they just like go up into the air and then go onto the
This one's called
hook.
Infinite Monkeys.
Yeah, but see, this is so strange because we now live in a world where fucking Alan Wake can get like grabbed by the ghost of Chucky and impaled on a hook in the middle of the forest, and all the while, and then Nicolas Cage can come to try to get Alan Wake off of the hook as Chucky continues to team up with the xenomorph from Aliens to kill the rest of the survivors in Dead by Daylight.
And who's that on the horizon? It's Goku.
Right. It's only a certain amount of time before that kicks in. So let's see. I wanted to put this one on people's radar. There's a game called Elisa that is coming to consoles. It's getting a console release date. I played this back when it came out on the PC. This is an actual factual like Resident Evil throwback in like a good way. I don't know how many of these we've actually seen with like chunky graphics, like fixed isometric camera. It does have quality of life stuff. It doesn't have like tank controls or anything like that, but you know, it's very much in the vein of old Resident Evil. It's this lady, she's in a mansion during like a war, and there's all this like crazy weirdos chasing her around. You got guns, you got kind of interesting enemy designs, different outfits and all that stuff. I really enjoyed the time that we spent. I mean, we did like one video on it, or maybe two, but I really enjoyed the time that we spent with it. And it used to be just on the PC, so I kind of want to put it out there as like, you know, if you're looking for something horrifying to play that's not Alan Wake, that's not Dead by Daylight starring Alan Wake, this is coming February 6th to PS5, PS4, and Switch. So
did you play, there was a demo that came out a few months ago, Crow Country from SFB. That was a similar game where it kind of made itself look like the aesthetic of a Resident Evil like game, but it actually is 3D, so you can kind of go back and forth.
Right. I remember this. I remember seeing something about this a little while back.
Yeah, so they kind of just dumped a demo on without, they still don't even have a release date. But where this is all to point to like a trend. Jeff, we're getting old in the 90s as retro, and it's great.
Yay! I've been waiting for so long. Please make more grunge music. It's my favorite kind.
It's, I don't know. I like this. I like the kind of like low poly look. Mm-hmm. Like, nothing against photorealism and high fidelity at all, but I think there's such a big focus on photorealism and like people substitution that I miss kind of goofier looking things like this. Something where you have to kind of put the pieces together a little bit more.
It's also somewhat disconcerting, right? Because like there's this weird level of kind of horrifying abstraction where nothing looks quite the way that it should in a disconcerting way. Like you're trying to make what looks like the hallway of a mansion, but because it's in this like weird retro low poly style, it doesn't look quite right, and so it can kind of give you a feeling of unease.
And also like I think something that's very inherent to the like pre-rendered background style like this and Resident Evil's Silent Hill kind of is that it means that the design and the aesthetic, the look of the game very often has to be deliberate. You know, I remember, was it Final Fantasy X or maybe X-2, but like a big thing about that game was like, it's a 3D camera. You can move the camera around now.
Right.
Because like, and even then it like wasn't a lot, but I don't know. There is something to like having to like set up a shot and not to say, I don't know. I worry about being a curmudgeon now. I'm too young to be a curmudgeon, Jeff.
Oh, you're never too young to be a curmudgeon. Trust me. I've been on the internet long enough to know that is not the case. Let's see. We got an announcement trailer for a game called Sun and Bone. Now, okay, full disclosure, this is a really interesting trailer. It's obviously pre-rendered. It's about like a sheriff who is like he's like trying to make sure that the cattle don't get rustled. And in this trailer, then like a fucking dinosaur comes out, and then he's like fighting a dinosaur with his like, we're talking like an old westy kind of 6-shooter cowboy guy fighting a dinosaur.
How big? This dinosaur's not going to be that. That's a big fucking T-Rex. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Which then transitions into a montage of a first-person shooter where this guy is like doomslayering raptors and like yanking the horns off of like triceratops and stabbing them with it. There's like dinosaur guys that start showing up, and he's like blasting on them, and all this looks amazing, and I fucking love it. And then I went to go look who is actually making this game, and it's the development team that made a game that came out last year called Quantum Error, that was this weird fireman in space eldritch horror. It was so fucking bad. It had a lot of really good looking trailers that I looked at for a year, and I was like, wow, this looks great. This is from this indie team. I can't believe it. And then it came out on the PlayStation, and Michael and I played it, and it was so fucking bad that I was like, I can't, this is awful. The trailers look great for it. And then I went to go play the game, and I was like, this is terrible. And that is Team Kill Media.
You totally would have fooled me.
Yeah.
Like I thought you were gonna like. I thought there was like a Turok road we would be going down here, but like, nah, man. Like this is a whole other can of worms.
Yep.
And this is on the PlayStation. Like it doesn't take a lot to get on the actual PlayStation YouTube channel. It's like if you subscribe to him for a week, and you'll see what I mean.
Right.
But like. If that is like the reputation that this company has, like that's there's something bizarre going on here, because this trailer really does look fine.
Yep.
Like I can't hear it at the moment, but it seems cool. The concept and what they're showing seems fine, but I also know that there is a bunch of junk on the fucking PlayStation Store, and UE5, I don't know.
It's possible that this one might actually end up working, because it looks like just a straight up action game, whereas the other one was trying to be this weird like fireman simulator meets cosmic horror meets kind of Resident Evil, but then like there's a mechanic for doing CPR on people, and like you got to make sure your oxygen tank is full when you go into the smoke. And so it could be that by reducing to just like a real fun, here's a cowboy that kills dinosaurs, that maybe this one comes out okay, but that other one, I don't know, that's a big strike where I'm going to be like, maybe. So I don't know, but it looks like a good trailer, so who can say? Helldivers 2 is coming out. It's going to have crossplay between the PC and the PlayStation day one. So integrated crossplay. And also, apparently, the system requirements for it on the PC are relatively easy going. It's not demanding top of the line stuff. I'm very excited for Helldivers 2 because I liked the first Helldivers quite a bit. And even though it looks like a very generic kind of co-op shooter, the first one had a real emphasis on giving you lots of crazy awesome ways to destroy hordes and hordes and hordes of enemies while screaming about super earth and democracy, which I thought was pretty fun. So
cool.
Yep. Let's see. I'm going to skip this one. We got the announcement trailer for Immortality is coming to the PS5. This is the big one from Sam Barlow that did Her Story and the other one. This is the one.
Telling Lies. The game's called Telling Lies.
Oh, yeah. That is it.
Telling
Lies. I played a little bit of this one. It's very interesting. I keep meaning to go back and figure it out because it's kind of, you got all this found footage of this actress that has disappeared and you're kind of trying to figure out what exactly is going on, and you'll look at a scene and then you'll click on a part of the scene and it'll match cut to a different place, and so you unlock new scenes in these, she was in 3 different movies, and it's all done in this kind of very period specific film grain and 70s costumes and good stuff.
This is fascinating. I saw I think the Eurogamer review about this because of this coming to consoles, and the reviewer mentioned there was an enigma here. I got the achievement for finishing the game, and I don't know that I actually solved the mystery, which is a really because I think that was. I did not play a lot of Telling Lies, but Her Story is also like that. You can go through Her Story and probably watch enough things for the game to tell you finish and maybe not catch everything. Mm-hmm. And that's a really fascinating way to play a game.
Yep.
Where you could just totally fucking miss it. Did you play Telling Lies? I had a bad time with Telling Lies.
I played that one for RageSelect, and I found it to be a little bit too granular. I was expected to pick up on a little bit too much, so it wasn't. Whereas this one, I think that what you're talking about is that you can technically just unlock all the scenes, but that ain't the end of the story. There's a lot of interesting secret stuff going on inside of this that you will almost certainly stumble across at a certain point, and then be like, whoa, 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 whoa. What the hell was that? And then you got to try to figure out where those mechanics lead you. I'm trying to be very vague because I don't want to ruin it. But
I also am interested to see how it's laid out. The way that Telling Lies was set up in the one half of a video call thing was really strange. But if this is this is about an actress, right? She does 2 movies and then disappears and comes back 20 years later.
Oh yeah,
and that's just the plot. Just the plot. I want to see those movies, and I'd like to know how long of a movie, because it looks well shot too.
It's just the interface is just a series of clips. It's
it's only clips. Okay.
It's just clips from different things, and then you play the whole game by kind of navigating through. And like I said, there's some interesting stuff in there, but I don't want to say too much, because when we saw the first thing, we were just like, oh my god, wait, what just happened there?
Okay, interesting. Nice.
Yeah, January 23rd. That's coming out on the PlayStation 5. And then last, when it comes to PlayStation 5. This is kind of interesting news because PlayStation put out a big montage of stuff that was coming out in 2024. And this came on the official PlayStation channel. And the big news here is that the Silent Hill 2 remake and the Metal Gear Solid 3 remake were both in this trailer montage as games coming in 2024, which they had not had they had not been confirmed at that point. So so you've got Silent Hill 2.
No, that's very prominent.
Yeah. So these haven't had full-on release dates yet, and the fact that they were in here is interesting because it's one of those like, oh wait, how did you? we had not confirmed that yet. So yeah,
Right. Did we even like were those games like officially announced? Like I know that the Metal Gear Solid Delta was announced, but was Silent Hill 2 remake announced?
yes.
Okay.
They had
I've
that
been
big
a little
Silent
out of
Hill
the
event.
Oh fuck yes. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So yep. Hopefully both of those will be out in 2024. Good stuff. Actually, you know what? There's another. Oh, okay, cool. I did put it in order. Also, it's possible that Disney might have accidentally outed the release window for Star Wars Outlaws, because there was a Disney Parks blog post that mentioned it and said, and then when you're in the park in late 2024, we're doing this thing with the release of Star Wars Outlaws, where KVS is going around the galaxy doing stuff, like specifically putting it at late 2024. It currently had a just 2024 without any specifics release date. But then Ubisoft apparently very quickly scrubbed that and told all the news outlets, don't pay any attention to that. But at this point, I mean, I don't know. It came from like a person who works at Disney. It's not somebody just making shit up. Like, I'd be willing to bet that's probably pretty accurate. That gives them the rest of the year to finish the game based on what we've seen, how long it's been in development. That very well could be the thing. So
Yeah, like if what we're talking about is like the accuracy of logistics as it relates to a post-release or a post-release party as like a supplementary event at Disney, like that they don't need to know when the game will be out. They need to have a date that the game will definitely be out by,
right,
so they can set up this event. And so that just means 2024. Well, then late 2024, it'll probably definitely be out.
yeah.
So I don't know. I'm sure they want to get this all the way the fuck out. But it's Ubisoft. Who knows what this means?
True. There's some rumor. This is full on rumor mill stuff, but it's from two leakers who have had a pretty good track record in the past. There's a possibility that Hi-Fi Rush might be coming to the Switch. This is the rhythm action game that was stealth released early last year from Tango Gameworks. We have seen stuff that was Xbox exclusive once the exclusivity time runs out, move to other platforms. So this is not impossible. And actually, Hi-Fi Rush was one of the games that I beat over the break. I went back and played all the way through it.
Oh, nice.
Most enjoyable.
Oh, okay. Very cool. I feel like I haven't looked into Hi-Fi Rush very much because I know it's an Xbox thing, so I don't think I'd be able to play it, but I hear great things about it.
Yep. Rhythm-based third-person action game. It was like Fooly Cooley meets like Scott Pilgrim meets kind of action adventure. Great snarky characters. This art style like holds up so well as this kind of 3D, 2D thing. Great replayability. The only thing is that if you're not into rhythm games, but I don't think that's your problem, it's like, you have to attack on the beat to get extra stuff. You have to move to the beat, you have to jump to the beat, you have to attack on the beat. So if it does come to the Switch, you have a Switch, right?
I do have a Switch.
Yeah, maybe check it
somewhere. Yeah.
This is a lot. Metal Hellsinger is just got some free DLC. This was the rhythm first-person shooter, and it got 9 tracks from Dusk, which is perfect because Dusk has that thumping old-school Doom soundtrack. So, yep, check it out.
And that was like a PS Plus game, Metal Gun Slinger.
Metal Hellsinger.
Yeah.
Bad news. Platinum Games World of Demons on the Apple Arcade is basically going to be shut down and completely delisted January 18th. And even if you have the game downloaded, because it was weirdly a live service thing with like daily login bonuses and challenges and stuff, you can't play it even after that point, which kind of sucks. I really wish that this was one of those ones where it's just like it got let out of live service jail and then came to Steam or something else, because it was an interesting concept. I don't like playing games for an extended period of time on my Apple TV, so I never got really fully into it. But
I think the Apple Arcade. I've had Apple Arcade for a while, and it seems like there are not too many games that leave the service, right? It's not like a Netflix or something where stuff goes in and out all the time. And a lot of the stuff that leaves Apple Arcade, look, I'm into video games, and I have been following Apple Arcade for a very long time. I have no fucking clue what some of these games are that are getting delisted. But I just see them in this category, like, hey, these are gonna leave sometime soon. Do you want to play them? And they look so fucking jank and weird and ultimately like kind of bad.
Yeah.
That this World of Demons game that I had no fucking idea existed. There's probably a good chance it maybe stunk out loud.
Yeah, I don't know. I never continued playing it, but what I did play early on, it seemed like a generic kind of third-person action from Platinum, which they're pretty good about that. I like the kind of weird painterly style and the Oni stuff. It really seemed to me like a concept that would have been better if it had been developed into a full standalone game as opposed to a kind of, oh, you're working through the map, this week's map, and a challenge, log in, get X crystals so you can upgrade your sword kind of thing. But I don't know if that is what it was, but I did know that it had some kind of online component. I just don't remember the specifics.
And I think if this was an earlier Apple Arcade game, like I think at some point the way that they made these deals for Apple Arcade games changed dramatically, right? Like originally it was, they're going to be new games, they're going to be new ideas, it's going to be new things. And that dried up like that. And then they switched to this, like, let's also take like old good games and refresh them. And so I think this and a lot of those other older games that were like, we really want you to make something new, even if maybe it's a little watery. I think that's what is maybe being filtered out here. Like, because the way you're describing it as like a good passable game that maybe doesn't have the right fit, like that sounds like what some of those early Apple Arcade games are.
It's just it's a familiar description. Yeah,
like there's a great one that I don't remember the name of anymore, but it was only a part one. And so you play it for like 3 hours and you're like, oh man, I like this combat. Like, this is an RPG. You play for like 3 hours and it's like, cool, we'll see you for part two. And I don't know if that game
was it the one with the miniature where it was like the dioramas that they took picture, they built the actual dioramas?
No, that was Fantasian. Okay. No, I'm thinking of it was like you were like a witch. You had like magic powers, but it was like your phone. It was like very like memey kind of shit postery themed and witchy, but it was cute. And I think they only like they only did that first part of it. And so yeah, I think that's, I don't know, but it's a bummer if anybody liked that World of Demons game.
Okay. I tell you what, let's finish up with my favorite stupid thing from this week. So Xbox made an Xbox Series X mini fridge. I still want it. I haven't bought one yet. But they have now also come out with an Xbox Series S toaster that will toast 2 slices of bread. It looks like an Xbox Series S at the outside, but you put the bread in. But the best part is that when you line the bread up, it comes out with the Xbox logos toasted into the side of your bread. And I can't help but be amazed because I love little Xbox breads. I want to get the mini fridge to store my bread in to keep it nice and fresh, and then I'm going to take it out. I'm going to put it in the Series S and get the little Xbox logo on the side, even though it looks like a bunch of your bread isn't toasted. And that's how they make the X.
Yeah, don't you want the middle of your bread also to be toasted? This picture especially has got a really fucking deep farmer's tan. Like,
Yeah. This is $40 at Walmart, and I was like, I've got $40 for stupid shit. Immediately sold out. Nope, can't get it. It's gone.
I'm actually shocked that it was only $40. This is the sort of like the fridge. This is the sort of thing that you charge, like that you make a press release for, and you make 5 of them, and they're like $1,000.
Yep.
$40. That's like legitimate prices for a toaster.
Yeah.
It's got a fucking bagel button on it. Like, it's got features.
Yeah. It's got an LED to show you when your toast is done. It's got all kinds of good stuff. I could use a new toaster. It's got LED digital countdown timer, and it puts the Xbox. I want to get a toaster strudel and get the Xbox logo on the toaster strudel and then draw around
Toaster
it with
streusel.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. We're like the fucking Cadillac of toasters, man.
Yeah, makes me want the mini fridge even more. Yep. The only thing I don't like about it is that it's one long slot. It's not two side-by-side slots. It's just one long slot that you can put 2 toasts in. So
yeah.
Anyway, that's pretty much it. I don't know, Bryce. We're a little out of time. Did you said you had played some other stuff? I don't know if you want to briefly share some quick insights, or we're gonna wrap it up.
Here I got one last little quick one. This will be quick. Is I've been playing more Remnant 2, and I'm like far enough into that game. I think I'm like player level 14 or 15, and so like I'm pretty far. Like I've got 2 of the 3 doodads that you need to find. I think that's what they're called, is doodads, and I'm enjoying the game. I'm really having a good time with it, but I'm just like fucking surprised at how technically impressive it is. The way it's procedurally generated, the way that the rolling system works, as a means to like get you to play that game multiple times, but doing it by having 2 games in there, by having literally 2 stories for everything.
Yeah, every level has 2 different stories that you can go through, and you need to like re-roll until you get like this. Like if you want to get this loot, and the 3 levels are so dramatically different. The elf world, and then you've got the like Bloodborne, but also fairy castle, and then the weird futuristic end of time level.
Planet, yeah.
Like they're very interesting levels.
It's really cool. I'm glad that you turned me on to it. I was like, I was really hesitant at first because I think there was a bit of a hurdle to get over, a Dark Soulsian hurdle. But like now I play the game and I've got buffs and I've powered up and I know how to play, and I'm progressing in a video game.
Did you see there was one of my favorite things from Remnant 2 is from last year, and there was a specific subclass that you could not get unless you equipped like a whole bunch of things you would never equip at the same time. It's like you need this head armor and this chest armor and this ring and this gun and this thing and this thing. And what it was a treat for data miners, because the only way that anybody was ever going to find this out was by data mining the files and seeing that there was a class and then decoding what the unlock state for that class was and posting it online. And I was like, I appreciate that. I think that's really clever. Yeah, I really liked it. I got all the way to the end and then I never beat the last boss, but that was just because I got sidetracked with other stuff. But yeah, I really liked that. I thought it had a really good you know what you could do is when you get all the way to the end, does it have crossplay? You can just carry me through the final boss. We can just go play co-op on the last boss once you beat it.
Did that?
Well, you know what?
Yeah, I think I'm not that far either.
I will say I played 3 games to completion while I was on break.
Yeah. What did you play?
Hi-Fi Rush was very good. Or I played 2 games to completion and one I am currently finishing. So I played Hi-Fi Rush. I finished that up. That was really great. I finally just broke down on the Steam Winter Sale and bought RoboCop Rogue City. That is definitely a game for people who like RoboCop. You stomp around all slow and you talk like a RoboCop. But like if you like RoboCop, it's great. It's got all the callbacks you could ever want to RoboCop. It's an interesting experience because you're not meant to dodge or take cover. You're kind of just meant to like shoot people. Like they took the part in RoboCop where he shoots the guy in the junk and how he reacts to it, and then it's like a lot of enemies are wearing chest and head armor, and so your best shot at that point is to shoot them in the junk that triggers like that same animation. Totally enjoyable, like 14 hours long, really good. But the one that I've been playing right now that I've been enjoying the most, and I really do feel the need to spread the love on this, is Sea of Stars. Which is the game from the guy that made The Messenger.
The Messenger.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this was like a third person, kind of a throwback to Secret of Mana or Chrono Trigger, kind of on the Super Nintendo, where you're...
The love letter to RPGs, JRPGs, right?
Yep. And it addresses just about every single problem that I have with RPGs. The only thing I will say is that the beginning is a little slow. It takes about 2 hours to really get into the story. And that's a little slow. It's a little tedious. You got a lot of limited attack sets and stuff until you finally get in there. Once the game, though, gets going, it just hasn't stopped. Every 40 minutes, I'm hitting like a boss or a story beat or something big that's changing the world. I'm getting the maps. It does a really crazy thing where you can hit a button to mantle up onto stuff and jump onto stuff. It's kind of a Metroidvania where they give you like traversal tools that lets you get to places in the map you couldn't get before. I really appreciate the fact that it has like an MP system, but your MP is regenerated by attacking. So every time you attack, you get 3 MP back. So it encourages you to just keep using specials instead of saving them up. It's very good about always giving you like a save point before a boss. The story has been very good and like done a lot of twisty, interesting stuff. And then the music and the visuals are just gorgeous. Like they're wonderful, and it keeps changing stuff up. And outside of that slow opening, it's been I really want to be playing it right now. I've wanted to be playing it instead of doing my job for about 3 days now. And that doesn't normally happen to me with RPGs. Like only the best RPGs are the ones...
You don't like RPGs a lot of the time.
I feel like a lot of times they lose interest in them, but this one just keeps going. Here's a new place. Here's a new thing. Here's a new power. Here's a new spell. Here's a new recipe. Here's some more armor, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's just been a roller coaster ride I was really surprised because a lot of people put it on their Game of the Year list. I played the demo. I played it when it first came out, and I was like, yeah, it seems all right. But then when I went back and stuck with it, it was like solid. So
I've heard that the beginning of that game is tough to kind of get through.
Yep.
I guess the slowness of it, or just the tutorialness of it. I don't know exactly how you would describe it.
I think that I had an idea. I don't know if this is what they intended, but like the idea that it's slow at the beginning to lay out all of the backstory so that we don't ever have to slow down once we get into the story. You know everything you're going to need to know. So now we're just going to throw out nouns. And you're going to be like, okay, well, I heard about the Fleshmancer in the first hour. I've heard that before. You don't have to stop the story and explain it to me. You can give me 2 lines of dialogue. Let's get going. Like, there are towns in the game, and it's like old school Final Fantasy towns. Everybody just has 1 line of dialogue, 1 line of flavor text. Boom, done. Boom, done. Boom, done. Like, you get through it super fast. It's been a delight. Now I haven't finished it yet, so hopefully it doesn't. I think about halfway through right now, but it's been super enjoyable. So
nice.
Okay, let's wrap it up. Bryce, where can the people find you when you're not over here doing the news with me?
Hey, check out the Marbles thing, LFG Marbles, the League of Fun Games Marbles. It's coming back in a few weeks. I still got to get all the details set up, but why don't you join the email list to find out more information about that? Marbles.win. It's a website. And Jeff, I got an exclusive for you.
What's that?
For all of the listeners who made it to the end.
All the way to the end.
So Marbles in the past has been 2 45-minute halves every session. Now, in the upcoming season, Marbles 50% longer, 2 hour-long halves coming directly to you.
Ooh.
So more marbles coming soon, and thank you.
Slap one more half on there, and you'll be in RageSelect podcast territory. All right, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to go play Sea of Stars. Get out of my house. Bye, everybody.